Hello, Money Queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello, Money Queens. Welcome back to Women Behind the Millions. What do you do, ladies, when you find yourself driving in the car and there is a deer head next to you? Who do you call? Well, that is who tonight's guest is all about. When life happens and you think, this will never happen to me, and yet it does. And that's why we have protection. That's why we have insurance, ladies. Well, before we dive into tonight, make sure you scan this QR code to jump on our email list because we have some powerhouse ladies lined up for the TV show, and I know you don't want to miss an episode of them. Tonight is Beyond the Hammer and Nails. We are in our She Nailed It season, where we are featuring all the women of our newest best-selling book at Pink Fix Productions, She Nailed It. We also have a new TV show, so stay tuned after tonight's episode for Danette Galvis's own show of She Nailed It, interviewing these incredible women in real estate. Well, beyond the hammer and nails, what is that toolkit every homeowner should have? Business owner, I'm also going to throw in there too. Because as a business owner, we work so hard to build a business, to grow it, to scale it. But what about protect it? One of the biggest, I would say, gaps that I've noticed with women business owners is being severely underinsured, or just not knowing there are different things that can really protect you, like cyber insurance. We have things to protect our inventory. I was just on a call with a woman who owns the boutique, and she owns 100% of her inventory. I said, first, please tell me you have very good coverage if something were to happen, a fire in the building next to her, and then that inventory, $100,000 gone. So yeah, she did. I made sure of it. She had plenty of coverage, but it is something that is very overlooked and not prioritized enough in today. Well, today we have a repeat guest. You know her, ladies, Teri DiGrande. She spent nearly 4 decades building an agency rooted in trust, authenticity, and real human connections. Known for her creativity, community involvement, and genuine client relationships, Teri brings clarity and compassion to every conversation she has. She believes insurance should feel personal, approachable, and empowering. Let's bring to stage. Here we have Teri DiGrande. Hello, Teri. How are you tonight?
Hey, Jess. How are you?
I am good. We were talking right before we started to record this, and you mentioned recently you got a call from one of your clients. A deer hit her car, and she's looking over at the deer head.
Oh, my God. It was terrible. Yes. Could you imagine? Could you just imagine?
Also, it actually caused another accident. It's happened.
I mean, a spider comes in your car, you're like freaking out. But imagine a deer head. Yeah.
And we are in New Jersey. It's wintertime. They run. We recently, I didn't even tell you, got hit rear-ended because we had to brake for a deer and the car was tailing us. So it did not hit my pink Jeep, but it did hit my husband's car. And it's just like right before the holidays, these things happen.
Nobody was hurt, I hope.
No, nobody was hurt. My husband, being a police officer, knew exactly what to do. But I'm sure this client, she's probably frantic, calling you up. What transpired? What does she need to do?
Well, thankfully, our first thing she did was call the police. But, secondly is, make sure you have the right coverage, right? It's deer is comprehensive coverage, making sure that our first question is always, are you okay? You can get so severely injured by these animals. I mean, it can total a vehicle with one animal hitting the car. So I'm thinking, all I can think of is you're just looking at this head, looking back at you. The animal didn't survive, but she did, and that's really all we care about, because you can replace a car, you can replace a windshield, but it's the human life that we care about, you know?
Yes. I love in your chapter of She Nailed It, you talk about, after all, its true significance is realized in the moments we never see coming.
Yeah.
And you have 38 years of experience.
Oh my God. 39 this week. We're in our 39th.
39,
Just
congratulations.
started our 39th year in the insurance industry. When you say 4 decades, you know, doesn't that, I get chills when I said that.
Yes. You've seen the changes in the insurance. You've seen more innovative products in insurance probably than ever before as well. In your chapter, I would love to go through some of these stories that you give out, because so many times you're like, this will never happen.
Right.
It's all the time with like long-term care. It's never going to happen to me. And then the reality is there's a 70% chance it will happen to you. And that's why we have things like insurance. So if you don't mind starting with, there's a story of Jessica and Steve. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Tell us about Jessica and Steve, because I feel like this is very typical with new couples all the time.
Yeah. So Jessica and Steve, unfortunately, this was very recent. And so when I was writing the chapter, that was the first thing that I thought of when I was writing the chapter, is their story. I met them 15 years ago when I first opened the business. And they came to me. So, you know, they're a typical love story, right? You know, the newlyweds, they knew they had a brand new home. They were going to start a family. And everybody, we're all concerned about premiums, you know, starting a home and buying the first couch, and what's that going to look like. Their story started because, you know, we were buying the home and the mortgage started, you know, the bills were starting. And of course, that first year we're looking to, literally I think she was just getting pregnant that year. She had just had her first baby the following year. I had asked them about life insurance. And so they were a little hesitant, but of course they bought into the life insurance. And I got a phone call. I'm going to make the story very short, but they got a phone call. I got a phone call just a few months ago. He had passed away, 47 years old. They had a 13 and 11-year-old daughter, 2 daughters, 13 and 11-year-old. One of their policies he had terminated in 2023, but he did keep the others. And Jessica, my God, devastated. You can imagine being devastated, right? Having 2 young children. They did have another policy, thank God, just enough to keep them in their home, allow them the time to, you know, take care of the needs and keep them in their home. So the girls got to stay in the same school. So look, this is what insurance is for. I can't get him back, but it gave them enough time to grieve, keep the girls in the school. She had enough money to, of course, you know, stay home with the girls and get their lives back in order. So it's a very bittersweet job we have, but asking the right coverage questions, if you will. As I'm telling this story, I'm getting a little emotional because this was one of my first couples that I helped when we started the agency here. And I really became very good friends with the family. So very bittersweet, you know, but I feel like, you know, I could sell auto insurance, I could sell homeowners insurance, but you're really protecting the family with paycheck insurance, right? When one loved one passes, what are you doing? You're protecting the paycheck for the family so that they can go on. And I remember that conversation like it was yesterday. And those girls, they lost their father, but we were able to do something more than, you know, just give them life insurance. We were able to keep them where they wanted to live, where they were living with their father in that house that they didn't have to move.
Yeah, to get uprooted like that, or to change school districts.
Right.
New friend, like that whole community, that security around it.
Yeah.
Gone. I can't even imagine. I'm very sorry for the loss of your client.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, we became a friend, you know, she became a friend because I worked with them for so many years. So it was a rough, and I cried with her on the phone. I get chills when I talk about it because nobody thinks they're going to die at 47.
Yeah.
He was diagnosed with leukemia and died 9 months later. So
Wow, is that?
you never know that that's going to happen.
No, you don't. And it brings up such a good point of I always wanted to leave my family in a better place than if I'm here. They're already going to be missing a wife and a mom. The least I can do is get them to stay in pay off the house. So that stress is gone. Pay off their college so that they can go wherever they want to go. And that's not a hindrance. I want to be able to buy my daughter's wedding dress, even though I'm not there. Like I want my life to mean something for them, even if I'm not here. And I encourage everybody who's watching this to think of what are those most important things for you that you want to be able to set up for your family if you're not here.
So true, Jess.
That's what life insurance can do. Like, even if we don't have the assets now, we can leverage through life insurance or through, you're a business owner, I'm a business owner. We put a lot into our businesses, and I want that to mean something if I'm not here to reap the benefits, that my family can benefit from it, all that hard work you put in.
Yeah. And take the time to grieve that you don't have to go back to work if you don't need to, right? Take the kids and be able to, she actually was able to take them to Disney over the holidays because she didn't want to be home for the holidays. She didn't want to have to, Yeah. So
to be able to send your family on a trip like that, because who would blame them? All the memories, your first, they can do something different and start something new that will just help them.
Exactly.
So, a sad story, but also beautiful that they're able to do this through the life insurance.
That's right.
Now, switching gears to another story, renter's insurance. This, again, very overlooked. People are like, oh, it's not much. I don't need it. But if really, at that point in your life, when you're renting or you're starting off, everything that you have is in that apartment or that condo or house that you're renting. What happens if somebody comes in, it gets damaged or stolen, and you have this story from a bridal shower?
Some of these stories are so crazy. They really, really are. But liability follows you everywhere, from your renters or your homeowners insurance, and people don't realize that. So it's not just about your stuff, right? Oh, I don't have a lot of stuff, but it's not just about that, but your liability that follows you everywhere you go. And that's important versus a car where you do pay for it because you need car insurance. But this is so important. I think one of the stories was the bride and the groom, their stuff, all their gifts had been stolen. And I think if I remember correctly, it was all in the hotel parking lot.
It was in a van in the hotel. Yes.
It was in, and everything that they had packed in the vehicle in the parking lot, I think the car was stolen. And then what happened was everything. People think, oh, the car, it's covered by my car insurance. That, in fact, is not true. It's all covered by your renter's insurance or your home insurance. So when the car is stolen, yes, your car's insured by the car, but everything that's in it is is insured by the renter's insurance. So we ended up getting coverage through the renter's insurance. Had they hadn't renter's insurance, it would have been covered by the renter's insurance. So unfortunately, Ned, I think it was my friend Ned, he had no renter's insurance, and we did talk about it, but they were kind of trying to save money. So we had no coverage for them. It was an unfortunate thing, but they ended up, friends pitched in and helped them get set up in their new apartment later on. So
I was going to say, what do? You gave them something, gifted them. It's so, when I would feel is crazy. Maybe a little something.
Yeah, friends ended up having to pitch in later, but you don't want to ask your friends for things. And going back to my life insurance story before, you have a loved one that passes. You don't want to ask GoFundMe. You don't want to ask friends to pitch in for you later. This was a little kind of a freak story because their gift-filled van was stolen. But you don't want to ask friends to have to pitch in because you did not provide for your family, or you did not purchase an insurance. And by the way, renter's insurance, it's like $125, $150 a year. It is so inexpensive. Just do it. It's really going to just protect you.
That's the same thing when I was talking about the woman who owns the clothing boutique. She goes, they wanted me to do $100,000. I did $350,000 of liability. I'm like, to go up that amount isn't a big cost.
$11.
But what protection from that amount is That's life changing. 250,000. That's closing down that shop. That's going to your personal. Like, what are you doing to cover that
It's so true, Jess. Great point.
more?
That's a great point. And if you have an advocate or somebody that you can talk to versus a 1-800 number, what a difference that makes, right?
Yeah.
Somebody to guide you and give you those tips. It's so important.
Nobody wants to call a 1-800 number. Nobody.
You think you're getting it for less, premium, but when in fact you could be losing everything in just a matter of minutes.
Yes. And I've talked to, starting out friends who got engaged, and he spent $25,000, $30,000 on the engagement ring.
So,
She was traveling, left it by the sink, ran down for whatever reason, came back up, gone. Now, because they tried to get their insurance, they did insure the ring, but they were trying to get the cost down as low as possible. It excluded things like at a hotel.
what?
So now he had to buy a whole new ring. When you're just starting out, you're trying to pay for a wedding, buy a house. So I always think of you when you're like 15 minutes or more can save you. It's a lot more than 15 minutes. And that's that knows the lingo and how to decipher what's excluded, what's not. Is this worth it? Is this typical? Is priceless in those.
That's right. Your most important assets. I don't want to spend 15 minutes with you. I want to spend time with you. I'm very proud to say that you're going to spend more than 15 minutes with me, because when you do have that loss, you're going to want to know what is and what isn't covered. And 15 minutes it's worth the time. It's worth the time.
Well worth the time. And we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take a look at the book She Nailed It. And then we're going to go into one more story that you have about getting flocked. And I see this hassle all now. Eats and the flamingos all over the front lawns. And we have a warning story for everybody. That's great one. In life, we all face valleys, moments of pain, challenge, and struggle. But it's what we do in those moments that defines us. She Nailed It. Inspiring stories of going from valley to victory brings together powerful women who turned adversity into strength and strength into purpose. Led by Danette Galvis, with chapters from inspiring voices including Teri DiGrande, Erica Butler, Corey Beth Lepowski, Teresa Todd, Catherine Sorensen, Katika Estevez, Christina Good, Denise Sandkamp, Megan McDermott, Kristen Williams, and Jessica Weaver. These stories will inspire you to believe in your own comeback, reminding us all that victory is always possible. She Nailed It. Inspiring stories of going from valley to victory. Available now on Amazon. One book, countless stories of hope. Get your copy today. We are back with Teri DiGrande, one of our authors of She Nailed It, talking about insurance. We went through some stories of life insurance and the loss of a husband, a father, and the importance of having that kind of coverage. We talked about liability coverage, and then also you spell things like renter's insurance. Now you have another story. You have a wealth of stories, Teri will say. But I've been noticing, and it's with the athletes, and it says you've been flocked, and they put a ton of flamingos all over the front lawn. And it's funny. It's all in good nature. But you encounter with one of your clients where it went wrong.
Yes. This is a funny one. So we had a customer who was celebrating a birthday party at their neighbor's house. So one of the neighbors decided to surprise them, and just what they call flocking. Now you see them all over the place for different reasons, and put these pink flamingos all over the lawn. Well, there happened to be a big windstorm one night, and one of the flamingos took flight and ended up smashing through a windshield, one of the neighbor's windshields. So created a little bit of damage to the vehicles next door. So the video went viral in the morning because the neighbor woke up and was not to mention a little upset about the little bird that took flight there. So it shattered the glass. There was an upset. Obviously, the birthday guy was like, I knew nothing about it. I'm sorry. But guess who was liable for it? He did end up having to pay the damages. He paid the deductible which was very nice. He paid the deductible for the car. Thankfully, the car did have comprehensive coverage, but we're lucky. And he just paid the deductible for it, and they all went on their way. But yeah,
Yeah, he didn't plan it. He had nothing to do with it.
nothing to do with it. He had nothing.
Nothing to do with his. Oh my goodness! He's been warned, ladies, about the flocking. Make sure there's no upcoming storms.
I mean, we see that, every once in a while you see a trampoline. You got to be careful with these things that are in your yard. We try to warn our customers too, put everything away if there's a hurricane coming, or, those umbrellas do take flight too in the windstorms. Umbrellas on your patio tables. So be careful.
Growing up, it was like a valley, and if you had a pool, everyone said, do not get a glass table because the umbrella will lift the pool, the table glass, and it would shatter in the pool. And once that happens, it can cut the liner, and now we're dealing with a much, much bigger problem.
Happened to me twice. My glass table splattered twice, and we fixed it twice. And then finally I was like, I'm getting a new table. I'm not doing that. You can imagine the pieces are like minuscule.
Yes, it breaks and it just shatters.
Yes.
Anywhere. Well, after rounding out our interview with Teri, I wanted to switch gears here to business owners. What are some of the key insurance policies that they should be looking at if you are a woman business owner?
Well, that's a good question because, you mentioned it on the onset. Cyber insurance is so important. We're seeing more and more fraud. I think last year was like one of the biggest. Everybody's getting these phishing emails, and we're seeing more and more fraud. So please, it's worth the premium. Get yourself fraud insurance, cyber insurance. It's rampant. And we see it at home on our personal computers. So you can get insurance on your homeowner's insurance, whether it's data breach or identity theft, and cyber insurance. So talk to your insurance professionals about it on your personal insurance, as well as your business policies if you own a business. So personally and professionally, you can have fraud insurance. Okay. It's very inexpensive for a personal policy as well. Again, an endorsement on your homeowner's insurance. And there's ransomware coverage for your personal policies. The other thing we're seeing a lot of for business insurance, a lot of people unfortunately are getting laid off or terminated from their jobs, in this market. Employee what we call EPLI insurance, employee practices liability insurance. So if you're getting laid off and people are filing for discrimination, whether it's for racism or wrongful termination, if you are a business owner and you have any employees, whether it's 2 employees or 200 employees, I implore you to get EPLI insurance, employee practices liability insurance. Look, look, you can get sued, and it has nothing to do with discrimination, but your employee thinks it might be, and honestly, it could have nothing to. It could be your hair is brown, and you're being blamed for discrimination. But it's something we're starting to see more and more of in the last, I'm going to say, 18 months. So, yeah,
good to know. Is there one more, Teri?
Look, product innovation, we're seeing a lot of AI taking over our products. So I think that's important too, because AI, whether it's ChatGPT, all these different products that are starting to come out, digital engagement, the customers are different. So platforms are different. Just make sure that you meet with your agent or your broker, review your policies, because now I don't know how, I'm not the right person to ask about technology, but whether it's good or bad AI, product innovation is taking over. And whether the product's tailored to you or not, you want to talk to your agent and make sure you've got the right coverage. Because if a product is saying, if AI is saying, you have, what you were saying earlier, 300,000, or you need 300,000 in liability, if that's correct or not, I want to make sure that I'm speaking to an honest professional who I trust versus AI saying that this is what I need. I think there's a lot of AI that's taking over and just generating numbers and products that are saying this is, what's correct for us. Does that make sense? Am I saying that correctly?
No, we talked about this before too. Usually when you go into like a ChatGPT and AI,
Yeah,
you're pushing in a biased way.
that's correct.
And it's based on whether your search history, what you know. It's based on incomplete information versus talking to someone like you, Teri. You're going to hear their side, but you're going to see the other perspective as well and be able to.
Right. Product validation is based on what you're pushing in or what it only knows about you. But I know my customers personally. I have a relationship with them and I sort of know their entire portfolio. So I'd rather have a sit down with them and get to know them personally and have the relationship versus AI doing it for me. I still think it's better for a one-to-one relationship versus ChatGPT or, how much do I need in liability? How much do you recommend? I want that one-to-one versus that what's happening out there is this AI is telling me in ChatGPT. Go meet with a professional like yourself to talk about what, product validation, I think, is so important with a human being.
Yes, product validation. We're going to end there, Teri. Well, we have one more question for you. Are you ready?
Oh, go for it.
What makes you a woman behind the millions?
What makes you a woman behind the millions? You should use this question by now.
I should have known this is coming. Listen, we women, we work so hard to make everything, one big circular world go round in our days. And it's been tough. 4 decades. 4 decades I'm doing this, almost. One more year. I know. I can see the wrinkles.
Oh, you look gorgeous.
It's been a hard run for all of us, but we're still working at it. We're still working hard to make it successful. And I'm just honored to be amongst those that have taken part in this book. This is our second book together, Jessica. And we're not done yet. So, no, we're not done yet. We're going to keep on working to make it perfect. So I'm looking forward to our next chapter. No pun intended. And with 2026 is going to be an amazing year. So I'm grateful to be a part of it.
It is. And she's a master networker. She's so female empowerment, community focused, ladies. Teri DiGrande, just phenomenal guest here, author of Financial Trendsetters 1, and also now She Nailed It. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight, Teri. Thank you to all of our Money Queens for watching and tuning in. We will see you next week. And stay tuned because we have the Night Galves's She Nailed It on right after this episode. And then next week, we have another one of our co-authors of She Nailed It. All right. Have a good night, ladies.
Thank you.
Hey, Money Queens, looking to get your wealth to that next level, 7, 8, 9 figures? Follow us on Instagram at PinkFixMyMoney and at Women's Wealth Boutique for more millionaire money tips.